welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Stephen.
The obvious question first up is, what made you pick the name Elle McFeast?
The name Elle McFeast was chosen in about 1988 when I was trying to develop a character for Kick to Kick. And I think I chose Elle McFeast because Elle Macpherson was on the front cover of Sports Illustrated at the time. I was very into McDonald's and feeling very put upon by all the tall, glamorous, thin women in the world. So, I mean, I was around about the time of Kylie Mole and blah, 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 blah. So that's that.
After you 12, did you see your career path, including employment as a sports correspondent for Football Coronet, Kick to Kick?
No. I did law. I went to university and did law, and it developed as I...
Come along.
Well, I heard the ABC, while I was doing law, the ABC were advertising for sports commentators. It was an affirmative action policy where they were looking for part-time female sports broadcasters, which I applied for. I was about 19 or 20 and didn't get, and they actually gave it to Elaine Canty, who now does the afternoon show on 3LO. But Clark Hanson and Tim Lane and Peter Booth and all those guys were very, very supportive of me. And so while I was at uni, I used to do stuff like this for free, go along to the Pan Pacific school games with my little tape recorder, do interviews, come in. And finally, was the day actually Kim Hughes resigned as captain of the Australian cricket team in tears, which you mightn't remember that, but it was a very big day. They had an extra sports bulletin to fill, and because it finished early. So they said, quick, on air. So I had to do pieces to end up on air, so that's how I got on air, and that's how I got involved with sport, just as it was a means to be in radio. As for Kick to Kick, when I needed a job after I'd finished law and I was in a cabaret band and had met all these boys, Trevor Marmalade, Peter Grubby Stubbs and stuff like that, they did a football show and I said, well, I've interviewed footballers before on the ABC and there's no reason to say why I can't do funny interviews with them now.
Early on you performed in a musical comedy, The Hot Bangles. Bagels. Yep. Did you find live comedy enjoyable?
I found that live musical comedy enjoyable. It was really good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After completing your law degree at Melbourne University, was there any doubt where your future late employment was?
Well, definitely, because I was in the Bagels when I finished. I joined the Bagels when I was in third or fourth year of uni, I think. Fourth year of uni. And I didn't want to do my articles straight away. As you know, when you do a law degree, you have to have a professional year afterwards. And I certainly didn't want to do that. I'd been having a lot of fun working in the pubs and the live comedy circuit, learning a lot, meeting a lot of interesting people and living a lifestyle that lots of people wouldn't get to live. So there was no way that I wanted to do my articles, and I didn't. I worked with the Bagels, and the only way I could continue working with the Bagels and not do my articles was to have enough money to support myself, and that's how I developed Elle McFeast, so I could supplement my income.
Were you surprised when you were offered the position to Melbourne's correspondent Andrew Denton's Live and Sweating?
Yes, very much so. Because Elle McFeast had been on radio for 4 years or 3 years beforehand, and I didn't even know. I mean, I knew Andrew Denton, everyone knows Andrew Denton, but I wasn't a big fan of his shows. I hadn't seen them, I'd generally be out. And so when it came along, I was doing my articles and thought, well, I'll give it a whirl. But I didn't expect to be chosen. I would have thought that, I mean, I don't think they expected to find me on the other hand, and I didn't expect to be chosen. I don't think that they realised in Melbourne there already is this comedic sporting culture that you get with punter to punter, kick to kick. I mean, they've got it with Uncle Roy and HJ or whatever on the Triple J, but we've had that for years beforehand, so it was very lucky that we met.
How difficult is it to become established on the Melbourne comedy circuit?
I'd say it'd be pretty difficult.
Did you find it?
Well, I didn't, because I came in with a band that had a history. The Hot Bagels started in 81, broke up in 85, got back together in 86, and I was in the 86 one. At that time, the reason why they got back together was because Melbourne comedy was rolling. That was when comedy was just hitting it up, you know, before the Comedy Company. Live comedy was really booming, so there was a demand for female comedians, and we were very lucky. We managed to slot, or I was lucky, the Bagels did the hard work the first time round, the other Bagels, but when I joined, they already had an established name, a good reputation, and all they needed was to, you know, work up the second coming and go for it, which is what we did, but it wasn't hard. I mean, it wasn't hard to get in. We had to do the work to be good enough. But once we got in, it was easy.
Do you write your own comedy material? Do you?
I write it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. How would you characterise the difference between performing on live and sweaty and the opposite to kick to kick? Working with kick to kick.
The difference between live and sweaty and kick to kick is that on live and sweaty I have my own time. And kick to kick I have to fight to be heard. I'm constantly talked over, ignored, being made out to be the token woman. I don't know why that is. I think it could be a leftover from the early days when I was the final member to join the panel. But even now it's fairly difficult. It's very, very difficult working with two blokes on the radio and not to be reduced to a bimbo. It's true. I mean, you look at it. You look at the Morning Crew, how they did it. Even non-football shows, and especially then you take two guys and a girl and put them in a football show, and then you know the odds are against you. The difference with Live and Sweaty is that there are three women on the show. We each have our own space, and then it's not geared towards macho male. It's not set up that way. It's not set up as Jocksville. Nor is Kick to Kick, but it is a very male show.
When you did the...
Hi Trev, hi Grub.
When you did the music video with the Danaher brothers,
Yes.
do you think you might possibly go into acting and go on to Lucky Neighbours or something? Reality, something reality?
That's what I'd love to do.
Yeah.
I'd love to put out a record of that, and we're in the process of organising that now. Because I think that's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's different and it's fun, and they were funny. So it was good.
What do you think people who come out of law and university and become comedians would turn comedians?
Well, that's a good question, because there are lots of them. D generation, a lot of them did law. Well, most of them did law. Robin, a couple of them did arts and stuff. But I think you'll find with every generation of entertainers, they come through from somewhere. And I never really thought about this clearly before, Steve, but you'll find that the generation before this bunch, which was Rod Quantock, Steve Blackburn, Alan Pentland, who you'll know as Ferret on Fast Forward, a whole bunch of those guys, they all did architecture. So it's got to do with coming through as a group together and sticking together and making your own work. Now, even Tim and Debbie, Mary Keneally, she went through architecture too. They're all the same little bunch. So there was then, this time round, it's come through the law faculty, because the law faculty has this law review. And you've got Tom Gleisner, Santo, me, all the guys from the DG, Jason, all of them. Magda was in the law review from Fast Forward. Michael Veitch was doing arts. He was through on the law review and the Melbourne Uni reviews. So I don't think it's got so much to do with the law. I know you're thinking of Steve Vizard as well. I don't think it's got so much to do with the law as it's got to do with who's where at what time and going through and doing what, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because you will find that these people will constantly... You could draw a family tree and somewhere along the line everybody has been involved with or worked with or studied with or done something with each of the others. Like Alan Pentland directed the law review that I was in, and he discovered Magda in that. That was the first thing she'd done. Tom Gleisner from the D Generation produced it. So there you go. And see how it all...
Yeah.
Alan, it all sort of blends in. Alan, I think, knew all the guys, the Vizardi artist services guys. And there's your connection. That's very much what it's like.
And finally, you've attributed your success to good parents and lovely teeth. Do you have any other helpful hints for budding comedians or writers?
Good parents, good teeth, good nose, which will be coming shortly. Other tips. No, only that you've got to get your nails dirty. You've got to have a good nail file, because your fingernails do get dirty.
Right.
You won't get anywhere if you don't do the shitty stuff first. It's true. And if you want to get into radio or into television, they're not overnight breaks.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like I'm an overnight break, and I've had it easier than most, I suppose, but it's not. You've got to go out and do things for free. You've got to use your initiative. You've got to meet the right people and do the right things for the right people in terms of helping them out. If they need someone to run down and, quickly whip up an interview or do this or do that, you do it. Certainly don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of, because radio stations in particular, rather than television stations where it's more professionally run, radio stations will always exploit young people, and young people will always allow themselves to be exploited by radio stations because they're so keen. It's unequal. So you just have to retain your dignity and really work hard. And then have your duck teeth.
What is your work schedule like this week? Does it allow you for, much time considering the Saturday morning show on Kick to Kick?
Yeah, very strange work schedule. You have to make hay while the sun shines. Work at Fox on Monday night and do this. On Monday I went stock car racing. We changed my filming day from Wednesday to Monday, and we went driving racing cars, and that was, I had makeup at 6 o'clock, so I got up at 5. 6 o'clock Monday morning I was made up, and we were out at Calder Raceway by drove racing cars around the track. It was great fun. Oh, it was the best. That was actually the best thing I've done. It was really fun. What can you do? Can't do nothing about it, So that was Monday, and then came home and had a little sleep about 3 to 4. Went to gym. I always try to go to gym, and then did Fox, and I was at Fox till 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I came back and I don't know what I did on Tuesday. I've really got no idea what I did. I think I did some voiceovers. I do the voiceovers for Sports Girl and things like that that you hear on the radio. I make a living sounding 16 and anorexic and blonde. So I got up and did a few of those, and then ran around and did something. I know. Went over to Janine's, who I work with Morning Crew, and worked out this thing that we did this morning, this schools program showing how the Morning Crew players do their work. So we did that in the afternoon, Wednesday. Yesterday I donated a day to the Footscray Football Club to play in their golf tournament and had dinner there, which was boring because I can't play golf. And Thursday I've done this schools thing and come here and met you. Time goes. And been waxed.
What secondary school did you go to?
I went to MLC. Went to Corowa Primary School and MLC Secondary School.
Did you like it?
Yep. I'm a big rap for girls' schools.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, I mean, it's really
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think it takes away all the pressures, all the other pressures. I mean, and some schools are different, of course. But when I was there, boys weren't enlightened yet. I think they might be more enlightened now. But you still had to worry about things when I was happening, when it was 10 years ago that I left school, but you still did have to worry about how you looked and stuff and not seem too intelligent or else you were too threatening and stuff like that. It might be different now, but a big rap for girls' schools.
Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
For your time.
No worries.